A WWE star might be gone from the company. Another one might be re-signing with the company. Hell, we just found out about a return at the company, and we got to talk about some AEW. It's coming up right here, right now on TAS. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Angle Show. We're going to kick things off with some AEW news. We recently learned about some stuff, from CM Punk's side of things. Now, the AEW stuff, I mean, it gets pretty interesting. So, Dave Meltzer basically came out with a write-up just about the overall situation between the Young Bucks and CM Punk. And one of the things that was actually written about here was the Young Bucks and their willingness to work with Punk. But there was a caveat. The Young Bucks and CM Punk were basically rumored to not work with each other. There was rumors of meetings getting set up, and the Young Bucks and the Elite and everybody was just kind of against working with CM Punk. Now Meltzer is coming out and says that the Young Bucks and their willingness to work with Punk existed, but only if there were no issues for at least 6 months. So obviously this makes a lot of sense considering that there was this huge narrative where people on the internet believe that Young Bucks were not willing to work with him. I think this is actually very fair. Meltzer ended up writing saying one person very close to the situation said that the Bucks had said if 6 months went by without any issues, they would be willing to sit down and work with him. Meltzer noted that the problems happening seemingly every other week, from Punk's issues with Jack Perry, what happened with Ryan Nemeth and Christopher Daniels, basically reset the clock. Also, Dave Meltzer noted that the Young Bucks were told of a legal letter sent by the company that said that they violated an agreement made months ago to not talk negatively about the other side, and evidently it appears that they did in a BTE skit. Meltzer says evidently it was from a BTE skit that was a storyline that had started years earlier about Matt Jackson screwing up an endorsement deal and was brought back where he had secured some sort of another deal that was going to make them all rich, only to have that screw up, and even with their new contract, they were left broke and couldn't retire even if they wanted to, and they were all furious that they could never leave wrestling. In the skit, they wanted Matt to apologize for screwing up. Punk's name was never mentioned in the skit. All of this actually preceded AEW All In. So for those who were wondering, why didn't they work together? It's because they felt like Punk kept screwing up, and therefore they didn't want to. My quick 2 cents, if this is accurate, if this is 100% accurate, and of course we always take reports with a grain of salt here on this channel, but if this is accurate, in my opinion, I actually believe that is tremendously fair to the Young Bucks. After everything that's happened between them and CM Punk, they're the EVPs of the company. Hey, we don't mind fixing things, but we need to see that you're changing. I think that is fair. Guys, I want to turn our attention to Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre talking about his contract negotiations, and this is really interesting. Speaking to the Hindustan Times, while over in India for WWE Superstar Spectacle, Drew McIntyre was asked about his current status with the WWE. He says, I keep reading the internet myself. I just saw something earlier. The internet keeps talking about my future, I guess. But my focus is on the here and now. Like, I don't look into the future. I don't look to the past. I look to the present. And my job right now is just making sure we give everybody in Hyderabad the best show possible. And I'll continue to give the best performance I can at every show. And I can see I don't plan to be anywhere else. That's as much as I can give. So this is, this is good, right? I think if you're a fan of Drew McIntyre, and I remember making the video on Drew McIntyre being rumored for AEW. I specifically talked about the situation with Kevin Owens, where a lot of people were coming out with reports. Kevin Owens is going to AEW. Those reports were obviously wrong. Kevin Owens then obviously stuck around in WWE. And I remember talking about it with Drew McIntyre, saying, I think this is the same situation. If he doesn't see himself, or he doesn't see himself planning to be anywhere else, I think that is fair to say that Drew McIntyre is one of the guys who are working on an extension. Keep in mind, Boozer Wrestling, BWE, came out with a tweet the other day suggesting that there was a list of talent that contracts are up, and some of them are already approved, some of them are just being worked on. Look, Drew McIntyre is a big name for the WWE. Of course, I think there would be a lot of great matchups for Drew McIntyre in New Japan or AEW, but when it comes to Drew McIntyre banking on his future, I think he has a better future in WWE. And truth be told, I think Drew McIntyre is one of those guys who is currently cooking up something. It seems to be a slow burn, but that slow burn appears to be potentially a heel turn, and that excites me. So, of course, I want to see what WWE does here. But I would say more than likely, as more time goes on, Drew McIntyre won't be leaving WWE. Guys, speaking of WWE Superstar Spectacle, they're in India, and WWE, of course. They're creating big moments out there. Very, very interesting business decision for WWE to return to India, not broadcast it as a PLE, not broadcast it as a network special, nothing like that. But Great Khali is back. Great Khali came out at Superstar Spectacle. And, look, this is WWE doing what WWE does. They're international. You bring in Carlito for Puerto Rico. You bring in Great Khali for India. It's a business decision that makes a lot of sense. WWE obviously had Shanky and Indus Sher and Jinder Mahal there as well, which was expected with WWE bringing, Indian talent to India. But now they brought back Great Khali, and this is really just this signifies their strong relationship. So keep in mind, when was it? 2014, 2015, Great Khali left the WWE. So when he left the WWE, his contract expired. He went back to India. And the big thing here that a lot of people need to understand is, Great Khali is a super famous figure in India. He is truly beloved. And when he went back to India and he left the WWE, he opened up his own wrestling school. He got a lot of things going off the ground. And I think WWE wants that strong relationship with Great Khali, obviously for a variety of reasons. Whenever WWE is doing anything, with India from a marketing and business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense for their relationship to be good. But also, I feel like one of the big things that needs to be talked about is NXT. We know WWE has plans for global localization. We know this is something that they're trying to do. We know that those plans are back on the table. I wonder if WWE can utilize Great Khali in a way to help maneuver some sort of NXT India, whether it's performance centers, whether it's recruiting efforts and tryouts, or whether it's just simply WWE putting on their own show in India. We'll see if that happens. One thing I do want to point out, too, is there was a very funny photo of Natalya and Great Khali together, which I don't feel like I have to explain, but if you know wrestling history, that is one of those things that is just absolutely funny. Guys, what is going on with Gable Steveson? This is weird. Really weird, honestly. I wanted to hold off on this because originally there was a report about Gable Steveson not going to Serbia. There's a tournament going. It's happening in Belgrade, Serbia. And basically, he was supposed to do his amateur wrestling. And then he was removed from that. Okay, he got removed from that. There's no indication as to why. But then what I didn't see coming is this next part, because we knew at that point he was going to prioritize amateur wrestling over WWE. But now Dave Meltzer has come out and said that another interesting note is that Steveson has been officially removed from the NXT roster. He says, I don't know what that means past that's happened, and there are no plans for him in NXT at this moment. So he's not going to Serbia for amateur wrestling. He's not going to NXT. I mean, I think this is it. I think this is over. I don't think a lot of people... Look, you got Chad Gable. You got Damon Kemp. You got Diamond Mine. You got a lot of... They got a lot of guys who could do what Gable Stevenson's trying to do. And I understand that Gable Steveson is not bad in the ring and he's improving. But this whole ordeal, I hope WWE learns from. They drafted him to Raw, never used him. They put him on TV once in a while, never really did anything with him. They put him in these big segments. They really try to throw him down your throats as if he was a big deal and a big signing. And look, it just didn't work out. And I hope WWE learns from that mistake, because it's not a good look for WWE when you're trying to position somebody as the next big thing and they don't pan out. It's not worth it. It doesn't work. It doesn't help. And for the fact that he's been removed from the NXT roster, the belief was that he never made it to the main roster because maybe he wasn't good enough. Now, I can't make that personal judgment. I'm not the decision maker. I feel like you could give him a mouthpiece and he'll be completely fine. But to see that he's removed from NXT, because apparently that's why he went to NXT, was to develop, I think there was an issue where maybe they didn't see something in him. Maybe there's more personal issues. I don't know. But it didn't work out. I don't expect Gable Steveson to be working with WWE much longer. The people who are running the company now is different than the people who brought him in. I think that's going to be a very interesting spin on it as well. But I want to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comment section down below.